All right, so welcome to the first assignment that I'm going to put on Google Classroom. This is going to be your argumentative essay. So I want to start from the very beginning before I show you how to access all of the documents, the articles we read, the book that we read. I want to get everybody on the same page in terms of what you need to be looking for in the first place. So we're going to go all the way back to that unit prompt that we had all the way in February. This is an example from a class that we already annotated together. So obviously you don't have this handout in front of you. If you do have a Google Classroom, I will upload this document so you can look at it. If you don't have a Google Classroom and all you have access to is this YouTube video, then I want to make sure everybody's at least able to see it. So as you can see up here, we have our argumentative essay tasks. So we know that we're going to be doing an argumentative essay. That's an important thing for everyone to know. We've done informative, we've done narrative, now we're doing argumentative. Our task is right here, these first two paragraphs. Your class is completing a novel study based on Of Mice and Men. While reading, you will examine the different characteristics of a novel, including characters, dialogue, setting, point of view, and plot. You will analyze how the author develops characters, challenges ethics, incorporates universal themes, and sequences the event in the novel. So we already did that all together. We don't really need to be worrying about that currently. Of Mice and Men tells the story of George Milton and Lenny Small, two displaced migrant ranch workers who moved from place to place in California in search of new job opportunities during the Great Depression in the United States. They hope to one day attain the dream of settling down on their own piece of land. As they struggle to obtain the American dream, they are presented with both social and emotional challenges. So that's just background information. We don't need to do anything with that. That's just telling us what we would be doing in the unit. We already completed that. This part that we need to go down to is your assignment. This is really the section that everybody needs to focus on. What you're turning in. This is what your assignment will be based on. All around the world, people live in poor conditions, physically, emotionally, or mentally, that cause themselves or others around them to lose faith or hope. In circumstances when the suffering is too overwhelming, people have to make difficult choices. For example, there are times when a pet is put to sleep to save them from unnecessary pain and discomfort, or when a terminally ill patient decides to forego further treatment for his or her illness. Are there ever appropriate situations when a mercy killing is justified? That is the question that you will ultimately be answering in your essay. So remember, argumentative essays are always based in opinion. That means this is not based in fact. It's based on what you think, and you are going to support that thought with research and with evidence from the book that we read. You are working on an online school blog, and your assignment is to write an argumentative article for the blog on this topic. In your article, you will take a side about whether or not a mercy killing is justified. Support your position with information from Of Mice and Men and additional sources you have examined. The audience for your article will be the teachers and students at your school. So what I want to point out in this is your assignment is to write an argumentative article. That's the most important part. You will take a side, that means your opinion, about whether or not a mercy killing is justified. So do you think it's right? Do you think it's not right? And if you remember from Of Mice and Men, we had a couple of cases of mercy killing. We had Candy's dog, which Carlson shot in the back of the head, and we had Lenny, who George shot in the back of the head. Do you think that was the right thing to do? Is that an okay thing to do ever? We read Of Mice and Men. We also read two articles. Those were days that I was gone. You're going to use those two articles to find evidence for whatever side you want. So this is really the section that you'll be taking your thesis statement from. Your thesis statement needs to be addressing all of this information. Now down here is the article scoring, so how you're going to be graded. Your thesis statement, which is your claim, plus 3 different reasons. Elaboration of evidence and conventions. This section here is how I grade your essay. Now, I know not everybody's able to complete this essay because not everybody has access to technology in the same way currently, but this is for students that really wanted to get ahead, really wanted to push through and make sure that they get this done before we come back. So now that we've gone through this together, the next section is going to be doing your brainstorm and outline. Now, in order to do that, you're going to need a lined piece of paper. So at this point, if you don't have a lined piece of paper, take one out. If you don't have a lined piece of paper, just find anything you can write on that somewhat resembles paper that has the same amount of space as a paper has. All right, so now we have a piece of lined paper, and now we're ready to do our brainstorm and outline. So if you remember all the way back to our informative essay, our narrative essay, we start this all the same way. And some classes even started this on the Friday before we left. So if you want to do your name, class, color, and date up here, and then whatever the date happens to be, let's make that a little smaller. And we're going to title this Argumentative, Brainstorm, and Outline. So our top line, we always start with the genre. That is what type of essay we're going to be writing. Because we learned 3 different types, it's important to list all 3. Informative, argumentative. So on your paper, you're writing the same thing that I'm writing, and narrative. We're going to go ahead and circle which one we are using. So we're going to be doing our argumentative essay. I know it's not the most beautiful circle you've seen, but we'll survive. After we do genre, we're going to list our sources. And every time you list your sources, this is just to keep in mind what it is you're going to be pulling from in order to write your essay. So type, title, and author. Type just refers to, is it a book? Is it a novel? Is it a video? Was it a picture? What is it that you're looking at that's helping you write your essay? What could you possibly cite from? That way you have all the information there and you know you're not forgetting some of those sources that you did read and might be helpful. So our source number 1 obviously is our novel. I'm going to write this one in for you, but the other 2, I'm going to have you use your Google Classroom, find those articles in order to do that. So you can see, just as we listed up here, we have type, novel, title, Of Mice and Men, author, John Steinbeck. That's the same thing you're going to do for all of the other sources. The next one is an article. And the third one is also an article. And I'm just realizing now as I'm doing this that some of you don't have access to Google Classroom, so I'll go ahead and help you out with the titles. If you do have access to Google Classroom, you can fill in the author portion. The first one was, Can Mercy Killing Be Justified? It was on a green piece of paper. Again, I will upload it. Oops. Get me forgetting. Can mercy killing be justified? See, guys, it's just like in the classroom. Soundor's messing up, making mistakes. Article 2 was No Evil in His Act. And then again, you can find the author using Google Classroom. So if you're able to do that, I'll put a blank so you don't forget. After that, we're going to do our graphic organizer. So our graphic organizer could either be a plot mountain, it can be a big idea icon, or it can be a pros and cons list. So if you are thinking right now, which graphic organizer do I use? And you are super duper smart and you remember everything that I ever taught you, you would know it's not Plot Mountain, it's not Big Idea, it is pros and cons. This is the one. Plot Mountain is for narrative, Big Idea is for informative, pros and cons is for argumentative. So before we move on, I want to make sure everybody knows to leave enough space at the bottom for the most important part of your essay, which is your thesis statement. So at the bottom of your paper, you are going to count 5 lines from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you are going to write thesis statement, which you should know is your claim in this case your opinion, plus 3 reasons. And then in this center area right here is where we're going to do our graphic organizer, which is a pros and cons list. So on the left-hand side, we're going to put pros. This is essentially a T chart. We're going to make a big T. On the right-hand side, we're going to put cons. Here, you will list at least 3 reasons for each side, listing why is it a good thing that mercy killing exists. Why would it be justified? 3 things on the left-hand side. An example of one, it keeps people happy, or it removes the pain from them, or prevents pain. Mercy killing can prevent people from existing in a painful state, like in the first article you read where the doctor helped his mother die because his mother, or I can't remember if his mother or his father, helped him die because he was in a lot of pain. You'll have to come up with 2 additional reasons in these lines. For the cons section, why would it be something that people don't agree with? Why would mercy killing not be justified? So an example might be it takes away the freedom of choice, or it takes away freedom. What is important to remember is that you need 3 reasons for each side, and that you also need to make sure these 3 reasons are different. If they all sound the same, it's going to be really difficult to write your essay because you need to have a different topic for each paragraph. It all supports your overall claim, but you have to figure out, how am I going to explain each of these reasons? Once you've listed 3 reasons, you're going to put a big star next to whichever side is the one you want to go with. So say you think mercy killing is 100% justified. You think that people should be able to do that it should be allowed. You're going to put big stars over here. Now say you really disagree with it. You think that it's terrible. You think people should never ever be doing that. You're going to put big stars over here. That way you remember how to use your reasons when you're doing your lists. It does not matter to me whichever one you pick. It's 100% up to you. I'm not going to say, oh, if you agree with me, you're getting a better grade. I just want you to pick your side and argue it. That's really what you're going to do. So your thesis statement, which is your claim plus 3 reasons, your claim is what you're trying to prove. Your claim always needs to be rooted in that section that you're being asked about in your argumentative task. Take a side, whether or not mercy killing is justified. So we're going to pull that language directly. Mercy killing. And then you're going to pick one. Either is or is not justified because, and then you should have 3 reasons. 1, 2, 3. And there is your brainstorm. As soon as you're done with your brainstorm, you're ready to move on to your outline. But every single section of this needs to be filled in. So everywhere that I'm going to put a highlighted shade right now needs to have your answer in it. I'm not going to go through and do it with you. If you want any help with it, please feel free to comment on this video or email me. That way I can help you. But everything needs to be done more or less on your own. I don't want to put up a video of a completed essay. I don't feel like that's very helpful for you as students. But I do think you guys can do what you can do. If you need to access any of these resources, I'm going to have a separate video that helps you do that. So this is the front side of our brainstorm and outline paper. And if you remember, we do our brainstorm on the front, we do our outline on the back. So I'm going to scroll down so you can see the outline section. All right, so this is the back part of that same place where you outline or you did your brainstorm on the front. And we're going to start off first with just making sure that we have listed all of the paragraphs that we know we need to write. An argumentative essay is a true 6-paragraph essay. So every other essay we've done has pretty much been 5 paragraphs, but for an argumentative essay, it's going to be 6. So right now, I'm just going to go in and do the Roman numerals just so everybody knows. Body paragraph after your introduction. Another body paragraph. After your second body paragraph, you're going to do a counter argument, which this is the extra paragraph that we include in an argumentative essay. An additional body paragraph, that's paragraph 5. And then your concluding paragraph. And then we're going to do number 3 over here because you're supposed to have 3 sentences at least. All right, let's go back up to our introduction. You guys should know by now that every introduction starts with a hook. Now, your hook is the way of getting the reader's attention. You don't want it to be lame. You don't want it to say, imagine if mercy killing happened. That's not a very good hook. That's not very interesting. And it's kind of going to be a little bit of a boring paper to read. But you can always use things like imagine if, did you know? After that, you need to give some background information. And in this case, any background information would be pertaining to Of Mice and Men. So imagine the person that's reading your essay has never read Of Mice and Men before. So if you're talking about characters, you want to make sure that those characters are explained. And feel free to pause at any point during this so that you are not falling behind with what I'm writing. I know I'm writing kind of quickly, but for you guys, it might take a little bit longer. Your last part is your thesis statement. That's your claim plus 3 reasons. Now, your body paragraph is going to follow that race formula. R, which is restate. That's restating your claim. Plus the A, that all goes in one sentence. And that is your first supporting reason. The next section is the C for race, which is cite evidence. This you're going to need to use the documents, which I'll show you how to access in another video, on Google Classroom. First piece of evidence, make sure you're citing it correctly. Then you need to explain that evidence. How does it support your thesis statement? How does it show that mercy killing should or should not be justified? Then we're going to cite another piece of evidence. That's evidence number 2. Again, using the same sentence stem. And explain the evidence. How does it support your thesis statement? And then finally, our concluding sentence. So we're going to use a word like finally, ultimately, sum up what your paragraph was talking about. Now we're going to do the same thing for your next body paragraph. And instead of writing in all those sentence stems all over again, we're just going to do RACE, C, E, and a different transition word because we use the same formula for erase paragraphs. We'll go ahead and fill in the other body paragraph. The counter argument is going to be a little different, so that'll take me a little bit longer to explain. Your counter argument is where you address the opposite side. So in our thesis statement, we listed 3 reasons, right? If we did these 3 reasons in 3 different colors, say we did reason number 1, reason number 2, and reason number 3 is our body paragraph. Those all support our position that mercy killing should be justified. Your counter argument addresses the opposite side, so different from what you have been arguing this entire time. So in your first sentence, you're going to present the counter argument. And instead, here's what we're going to do. Counter argument. Some may argue that, and you're going to state that opposite side. So the opposite of what your claim is. It's going to be the opposite claim. Then you are going to directly figure out a solution to that claim. So if some people argue that mercy killing prevents people from going through pain, however, there are many medications that keep people in a safe space while they are really sick. That is something you could use as a counter argument. So you have to present a solution to the opposite side's argument. Then you need to cite evidence to support the solution. Then explain that evidence. How does it support the solution, which ultimately supports your thesis statement? Cite another piece of evidence, and then explain again. So your counter argument is really going to be the trickiest part of your essay. And if I get enough feedback telling me that you need some more help with it, I'll go ahead and make another video just addressing the counter argument. For your conclusion, you're going to restate your thesis statement, summarize your main points, and then your third sentence is your final thoughts, and then a call to action. So this is ultimately your entire outline, which goes on the back of that brainstorm paper. After you're done with that brainstorm paper, then you can start getting ready to write your actual essay. You're going to need to access the book. You're going to need to access the articles in order to fill in these evidence pieces. And then you'll have a template online that will help you get ready to type that in. If you want to do any of this on paper because you don't have access to a computer, you're welcome to do it. Everything is available online. Anything that you want to find. If you want to find the PDF, you want to find the articles, all of that's available online. Go ahead and write any comments on this video if you have any questions. You can email me if you have any questions. And good luck to you. Thank you guys for watching.